What is up, guys? My name's Jeff. That's Mike. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to talk about, does your wife still like you? And if not, we should fix it. We'll be right back. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
I don't even know if it sounds good or not. I should probably listen to it. I think I should.
You remember that show? Are we recording?
Yeah. I don't know where to put stuff like this. This is great stuff. All right, Mike, what is going on, dude?
I'm telling you, man, it's just rough. You know, I've told you I've been going to school lately, and it's just been rough. But my wife has been such a trooper with that. I get home from work. Hey, babe, how you doing? Give her a kiss, run upstairs,
Yeah.
sit there for the next 6-7 hours, and do schoolwork. And she is just on fire. I mean, I couldn't ask for anybody better. She'll send me a message. Hey, do you want to eat down here, or can I bring it to you? You know, it's just amazing how supportive she's been, and to be able to, you know, do something for her, whatever it is, little things, whether just we went out to breakfast or we've gone out to lunch lately.
I don't get up that early.
Oh, I'm an early riser, but that's just me. But I mean, it's other than that, I mean, we got another grandbaby coming.
Yep.
Due, here in a little while. That'll be the 7th female addition to the house, other than me.
I
So
used to call that the estrogen ocean.
it is, and I'm adrift in it. I am kind of in that life raft right now, but hey, just paddling along.
Yeah. My wife is in school, so I'm the opposite. So I do some classes here and there, just continuing education. But my wife's in school twice a week, and so I'm doing the dishes, taking care of the dog and the kids and whatever. I try to remember bath night. That's the hard one, is because at 8 o'clock I just don't care anymore. All right, let's do our uncommon question.
Ooh, the uncommon question.
This is thought-provoking questions. At a party, I haven't been to a party. Like when I think party, I think like going to a college town party. I'm
Yeah.
like, I haven't been to a party in years. At a gathering,
Gathering.
what 2 questions would you ask a stranger to find out if you're going to be lifelong friends?
Wow. I think we actually need to start reviewing these questions before we talk about them. But what 2 questions? Without getting, I'm not going to go on the political side. I don't want to do that. But I mean, as far as like me, it's just, I'm married. I want, if I'm going to have a relationship with somebody as far as a friend and whatnot, it's going to be, hey, are you married? How are you and your wife doing, type of thing. Would it be somebody I would ask questions about their wife, just to get to know them and see if our spouses would be compatible as well. Because as you're going through this, you're going to want to make sure if you're hanging out or you're going over to somebody's house, you want to invite your wife with you. In my perspective, so one of the things, I'd start off, hey, are you married, whatnot, and just kind of go with that.
Sure.
The other thing, I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of almost a, hey, kind of a flow thing. What's going on, and then kind of there's always a feeling there whenever you begin to speak with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of tell, are they timid? Are they not? Are you going to be pulling information out of them? If they're pretty open, I like that. If we can have just a good flow.
Sure.
So things about their family, their wives, things like that. Maybe goals. Hey, what kind of goals do you have?
Oh, I like that.
And then that way, if we can connect, maybe we can work with each other and then be like, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, we could work together. And then, I mean, that could bring people really close together.
Sure.
Something like what we're doing here. I mean, we've had a good friendship for years now, and then this even better. I mean, it's strengthened it. So things like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. No. We don't. You don't get to get off that
because you went all marriage, and I was like, man, I was totally being selfish. I'm like, what's your favorite sports team? that's like these are good. And like so the thing I told you this earlier. The thing actually says what 5 questions, and I'm like I don't know because I'd be like, what's your favorite sports team? What kind of car do you drive?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ride a motorcycle?
Hey, there you go. I do. It's outside right now. Clearly, our set has changed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to rearrange my whole house, and the inside of my house is being remodeled. So 2 years ago, I painted this wall to do this.
Right.
And now I just don't have a table short enough that we can. Anyway, we're social distancing.
Yes, this is 6 foot table.
So
We're
yeah,
good.
what's your favorite sports team or sport would be okay. Because I support local, but I also am an
Definitely.
Eagles fan, so that's not local. But what kind of car do you drive? Because I'm a gearhead. Um, so question number 2: does your wife still like you?
I think so. I mean, just from
Collectively or on average? Because there's some days, you know.
well, yeah. I mean, I can be a pain. I mean, she knows this. And she'll be the first
I
one to
know
tell you.
this. Oh,
She's probably told him this a couple of times. Um, but I mean, to sit there and have a wife like I talked about this, right at the beginning of the show. My wife's helping me out. She is, just right there on board with me as I'm continuing my education towards ordination and whatnot. She's right there with me.
sure.
So I don't think she would be doing that if she didn't like me. You know what I mean?
You would think, yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense, but
We're upstairs, downstairs. She could just
yeah,
be like, no, let him fend for himself. If he wants something to eat, he'll come down here and get it and go back upstairs. But I mean, the absolute fact is that she's helping me.
sure.
She's going out of her way to help me. And I mean, yes, she loves me, but does she like me part of it? That fluctuates at times, but as a whole right now, I would have to say yes. I think she still likes me, and I'm very grateful for that.
Sure.
So
I also think my wife still likes me, but this is where the topic and the question comes from because like today, if you're watching this, it's Sunday for us. And we were at church all day, and she's the children's director, and church happened, but the children were chaotic. I think she said it was like baptizing 9 cats, is the way she described it.
trying to get them in the water.
Which is just I have no desire to be a children's pastor or director. But so we came home, and so I come home and drop all the trailers and stuff off. She's been home for an hour, and like I walked in the door today, and everybody's asleep. I'm like, what happened? Like, I didn't even like ask her yet, like, hey, how was church? Because like she packs up her stuff and she takes the kids home, and then I finish loading the trailer. And so like, but yesterday we went to eat, and I got her a thing of Baja sauce.
Oh yeah.
And like that's like our favorite thing to eat on top of everything. Baja sauce. If you're in Arizona, Macayos, if you haven't had Baja sauce, you should get some. Anyway, so all the kids are asleep, and she's sitting down, and she's just got Chipotle from yesterday, and she's just covered in Baja sauce from Macayos, and she's like, "I'm glad you got this for me."
Definitely.
Anyway, where does that come from? So why do we ask, does your wife still like you? And I think a lot of times we get stuck as couples, and this goes both ways. So do you still like your wife? I would assume you still like your wife, but for guys, I don't think that's as much of a mental thing for us, and or maybe it is and we just still don't think about it. But does your wife still like you? Our wives will always love us. And I think that's even true to the extent of a broken relationship or a divorced relationship or a couple
Absolutely.
that's no longer together. When I talk to my friends who are divorced and when I talk to people who are divorced, they still love their ex.
Definitely.
They just don't like they're doing this the whole time. They don't like them anymore. So that's where the question comes from. Does your wife still like you? Does your spouse still like you? Um, do you still enjoy your partner as a best friend? I has totally had this pop into my head. I keep seeing memes like people are always like, I want that good guy that's gonna sit down and like, eat Cheetos and have a dad bod and watch The Masked Singer with me. And I'm like,
Bingo.
I'm taken already, but like where's that guy? And I'm like, the best friend you friend zone in high school 20 years ago? That was that
That was
guy.
him.
I'm not coming across as bitter. I just saw that. And I'm like, that's probably, there's a lot more truth in that than you think. That anyway, whole different conversation. But I was thinking about like, are you enjoying life and the partner? And I'm like, that's like for Kim and I, that's everything. Like, yes, we have our frustrations, and I'm a bonehead, and I don't listen all the time, and things like that. But we have the conversation of, I'll always love you. I'm not always going to like you.
Right.
And there's going to come arguments and frustrations and things that we have to work through as a couple. But at what point is there a consistent, I love you, but I'm not in love with you? Or I'm, I love you, but I don't like you right now, kind of
Right.
thing. And where does that break down? Because we said at some point we sat down with our wives, or we sat down and said, that's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. I forget his name. There's a pastor on TikTok that has a super awesome. It's not a sermon because it's 30 seconds. TikTok is not a long
Right.
platform. But looks only get you so far. But the rest of it is at some point you sat down and this woman makes you want to be a better person. This woman is somebody I want to have kids with. If that's not the case anymore, what happened,
Yeah.
and how do we change that? So like, if you still feel that way, tell them. And if you don't feel that way, how do we fix it? But
Definitely.
I want your thoughts first. What do you think about
Well, I mean,
love you
yeah,
but not like you?
that's definite something that we always have to keep in the back of our minds. Going through marriage, in my opinion, in my perspective, having been married now 28 years, there's times she doesn't like me and I know it, and she makes it known. And either I
Yeah.
can not react to it and let it continue to fester and grow, or I can, swallow my man pride. And sometimes it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it is. Oh,
I mean that's there. I mean that's we grow up, and in society, I'm older than you, so um,
shh,
just a little bit, but
a little bit.
all right, whatever. But I mean, in society, I'm being brought up, and it's like men are tough, men don't cry, men don't show feelings, and that gets ingrained into you, and that's
I'm old
something.
enough to know what that means.
Yeah, but I mean that's something that gets ingrained to you, and you got to learn to erase that and rewrite it.
Oh yeah.
Our coding, we recode this, out with the old code, in with the new, and basically swallow the man pride and say, if you were wrong, admit it. I
Hmm.
was wrong. What can we do? I am
Oh,
sorry. I apologize. Something of that nature. And to sit there and make amends, whatever you want to call it.
is the air one that I heard that this week?
What's that?
Three most powerful words. I was wrong. Please forgive me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean that's what we need to look for. And in my experiences, when I do that, that speaks volumes.
Sure.
My wife goes, okay, he understood
Hmm.
what he did. She may not like me still, for a little bit, but she'll understand and she'll recognize that I'm trying.
Yeah.
And as long as guys are making that attempt, things can work.
Yeah, and that's what I think gets us in trouble is at some point we get to where there's no more effort to make the relationship better
Yeah.
or even to maintain the relationship for that matter. Um talking for a living and I'm running out of thoughts. I just
Oh,
drew a blank and I'm like cuz I like where that goes is like that's the confrontational part like hey, you really messed this up. So how do we get to the point to where that's consistent? Like it's a consistent I love you but I'm just going through the motions, but I don't like you. Like is that just repeatedly not listening to take out the trash? Is that playing, video games 18 hours a day or whatever?
right.
Um so we talk about what's something that we can do to get back to uh an in love relationship. I think I like that. I love you but I'm not in love with you, but how do we get back? I love you and I'm in love with you.
Well,
Because like we talk about this, at the beginning, way back at the beginning, 5 episodes ago, we talked about marriage is 100 and 100
definitely.
because when I can't give 100, my wife's 100 makes up the difference, or when she can't give 100, my 100 makes up the difference. But at some point, you're constantly giving 100 and you're not getting anything back. Oh, what's his name? Gary Chapman, the love tank.
Uh,
Love languages. Anyway,
yeah, I drew a blank.
your love
Sorry.
tank. It's full, and sometimes their spouses, they just give and they give and they give and they give and they
Yeah, it
give,
empties it.
and then the husband never puts anything back. And I'm not trying to beat up on guys, but this is just what happens. We're not doing anything wrong. I mean, yeah, sometimes we just do some bonehead things, and our wives don't like us, but we talk about it, and that's going to be the whole rest of a series we're doing later.
Yeah.
But at some point, we get to the point where our spouses just don't like us. It's not that they're like being mean or nasty or resentful. It's just you get separated, and like your goals aren't the same and your interaction with each other isn't the same. And I'm like, what gets us to that point? And I think that's something we're going to talk about in a later episode, is like, where does communication break down and how did we get to this point of our wives don't like us anymore? But there is a bright side. It's not all doom and gloom, I promise.
Definitely.
Um, we can go forward. If you do still like your wife, you should tell her, right?
Without a doubt.
I love you, random kisses, whatever, stuff like that. Um, but something like, and I just thought about this, like reminders. Like, I schedule dates with my kids.
Yeah.
I schedule dates with my wife. Those kind of things happen. But I was just thinking, like, I think I talked about it. I have that big thing above my door to my bathroom in my room. Like, that's a reminder. Like, that's one of the first things I see every morning is, it says always and forever. Like, we committed to do this.
Yeah.
And so that's just a reminder first thing in the morning. There's a conscious effort. And we're talking like, when we think, how do we get back to that kind of thing? I get up with the kids first thing in the morning. First thing. I get up with the kids at like 7. My wife doesn't have to be at work or school until 9:30 or 10. So she doesn't get up at 7. She gets up
Right.
at 9:20 or 9:50.
Yeah.
But I pre-make coffee the night before, so it just happens. And then I feed the kids, and like, so she knows those things happen, and she's grateful because there's some days where, I think there was a day last week. She had an unexpected meeting at work and literally didn't get a lunch break. And I went to go. Oh, it was Wednesday. I was helping a buddy work on his car, and we had to go get something I broke because I broke a car part. And I was like, I'm going to get lunch for the kids while I'm out, just because I'm out already and blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah.
So I got Kim lunch and brought it back for her. Those are the little things, like things like that. Like, there's big stuff. Like, yeah, I should probably knock off some things off the honey-do list, but it's like genuine interest in her day. And, we're going to talk about this in a couple of other episodes later. And we've talked about it last season. Listen to fix, or listen for support.
Right.
When my wife talks about what happens at work, I have no idea what she's talking about. And she and I have had this conversation. Like, I know when she's talking about work, that's a listen just to listen. I don't have to answer. Frankly, I don't have to pay attention. But I listen. Like, okay, I can't repeat it back to her. I don't usually know who she talked about, whatever. But those are the kind of things, like, how do we get better? How do we get back to it? And that's part of this whole series that we're going to go into. What is something we can do better to get back to a happy relationship, to where our wives like us? Ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, the little things like you were talking about, when you're out and about doing something, and you're going to go grab lunch, whether it be for the kids, think of your wife. What would she like? I mean, that again, we're speaking volumes here when we talk about just the little things
Mm-hmm.
for our wives. Our wives appreciate that so much. They put out so much for us.
Doing our show in the garage so so my wife can keep the living room for the kids today.
That's it. It's the little things. It's just the little things. Lunch.
True story. That happened today.
Yeah. And we're looking back, and I mean, to schedule dates.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a date night, and I know my wife and I have a date night once a month. Every the first Friday of the month, we go on date night.
Yeah.
And that's not, our kids. I have kids. I have grandkids. Our kids. Hey, can you watch the babies or whatever? No, sorry.
No,
This
the
is your
first
mom's
Friday.
night. This is my night. This is our night.
I have to do that for each one of them.
Yeah. And that's where, my kids are in their 20s, so I'm not worried about, they can fend for themselves.
Sure.
I go through, and I had to learn to think about my wife. It wasn't just a natural thing for me.
Oh, yeah. And
know?
that's part of, if you don't know what to do, ask her.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
it sounds dumb. Like, talk to your wife.
It
What's
that's
something you can
huge.
do get back to your wife liking you? Ask her,
Yeah,
talk to her, and that's one of those. We're gonna like break this down later, but I'm just thinking like, what are little things you can do for your wife? And that's one of the, just watch what she does. Does she drink coffee every morning?
yeah,
Pre-make her coffee one day. You know, when she comes back with the groceries, go out and help her bring the groceries in. Stuff like that.
yeah.
Um,
But I like the asking her. I mean,
I think,
they don't worry, guys. They will tell you what they want, and to actually show the initiative. Well,
yeah,
we think they'll tell us,
yeah,
but to show the initiative to go up and ask her, and she'll kind of be like, wait a minute, what's going on at first, especially if you don't do it, guys. But and then you can sit there and just explain, hey, you know what, and again the man pride, you're gonna have to swallow that. I don't think I've been paying enough attention to you. What are some little things that I can do for you? And she'll be like, well, I need this, or this morning, I had issues at my house. I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and my wife woke me up, and I had to check things out around the house and whatever, neighbor's house and everything. But she asked me, can I sleep in? Absolutely.
sure.
And I went out and I was like, okay, your mother's sleeping in, your grandma's sleeping in. Let's not bother her. And I was the buffer. And she woke up. It was a little later. It's probably 9:30. Thank you. And it was
Hmm.
just, yeah, no problem. This is the little things, things like that. And she
Yeah,
loved it.
and it does go the other way. Like Kim does that for me sometimes because I get up most of the time every day. Like Sunday's an early day for me, but I get up every day at 7 with the kids, and I stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock with her. So there's some days I'm 5, 6 hours of sleep, but I'm trying to participate. And there's some days, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I was gonna go to work on Saturday night, and so I was like, man, I just want to sleep, whatever. And I didn't set an alarm. Like I'll get up at like 8 because the kids will play, whatever. And it was like 10:30. She
Oh, wow.
came and say, "Hey, you going to work today?" And I'm like, I was thinking about it, but I didn't wake up.
Right.
I'm an Uber driver. I don't have to be at work at a specific time. Anyway, all right. So, does your wife still like you? If she does, great. Keep it up. Tell us what you do so your wife still likes you.
Yeah.
If she doesn't still like you, and you're sure she doesn't still like you, take her on a date. That's the challenge. Take your wife. It doesn't matter. She likes you, doesn't like you, or you're not sure. Take her on a date. Doesn't have to be all fancy. Go to Macayo's
Yeah.
or In and Out or the park, whatever. Take your wife on a date. Call her up. Call her up on Friday. Be like, hey, baby, what are you doing tonight?
Yeah. You dated it first.
Yeah.
There was a
Well, I
reason,
hope so.
and she loved it, I'm sure.
Try not to take your children.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up down the line. We're going to have some fun in the next episode next week. So you're going to have to come back next week. I don't even want to tell you what it is because I want you to just come back.
Right.
But a couple of really important things. Number one, push the like button. Leave us a comment. Let us know if there's a topic you want to try to tackle or discuss. Whatever. Send us a message. Leave us a comment. Hit the subscribe button. Number two, we are not professionals.
No, not at all.
If you think you are at a point where you need help, you should go get help because the two of us pretending like we know what we're talking about is not going to help your marriage really get better. We have some positive things and we've experienced a bunch of stuff, but if there's some mental issue or something going on, that is okay. Mental health is not something to joke about. Go see a therapist, go see a counselor. If that's what you think the next step is
Definitely.
for your marriage, go seek professional help because I am not it. That's it. That's what I got for you. Mike, y'all good?
I'm good, brother.
All
I
right,
mean, I
guys
appreciate it.
and gals, if you're out there, we will see you next week. Peace.